This podcast is brought to you by Customplan Financial Advisors, Inc., an independent insurance managing general agency in Canada. Financialpodcast.ca was developed with one goal in mind: to educate Canadians on important topics that affect their financial well-being and make it readily available to all. We welcome you to plug in and learn with us. If you have questions, please email us at contact@financialpodcast.ca.
Welcome everyone to Financial Podcast. I'm your host, Darlene, and today we're talking financial literacy again. Alphil Guilaran is with us from Financial Literacy Council. They specialize in educating families of all different age groups on financial literacy. About the Financial Literacy Council, Alphil is the co-founder of the Financial Literacy Council, a lifetime qualifying member of the $1 Million Roundtable, and the winner of the 2020 IFSE Institute Financial Literacy Champion Award. Founded in 1999, Financial Literacy Council is a boutique financial education and financial planning company committed to building financially literate generations. This is our second in a series on financial literacy for younger generations. In a previous podcast, Alphil shared with us why it's important that financial literacy be taught to 8 to 13-year-olds. Today, we'll be discussing the next older age group in 14 to 18-year-olds. In August, we'll be discussing university students. Thank you, Alphil, for returning to the show. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you, Darlene, for having me back on your podcast for part 2 of our series. It's an honor to be here with you today.
Thank you. In our last podcast, we talked about why it's important to start educating children as young as 8 in the arena of financial literacy. Today, many teens in 14 to 18-year-olds age group will start to show signs of independence and can take on greater responsibility. If a teen that's in this age group hasn't yet learned the habits you talked about in our last podcast, do you take a different approach with this group?
That's a great question. In the last episode, I focused on the approach of teaching children the habits of 20% sharing, 20% saving, and 60% spending, with the goal of helping children develop self-control and patience, which are the building blocks of being successful in life, as well as with money. Now, for teens between 14 and 18 years old, we build upon this approach, whether they continue to receive an allowance or they start to earn money working part-time. Now, the most important lesson we teach them is to develop the habit of buying more cash cows than cash pigs. So they need to ask themselves every time they purchase something, whether the item is a cash cow or a cash pig. Now, a cash cow is something that can go up in value and help them create passive income, such as putting money towards their education, buying collectible trading cards, or even investing. A cash pig, on the other hand, is something you enjoy temporarily and depreciates in value, like clothes, candy, and cars. Now, the problem with cash pigs is that it robs you from building up cash cows. Now, I'm not saying cash pigs are bad, but teens need to understand that by having more cash cows than cash pigs, they are setting themselves up for financial success in the future by establishing ways to make money while they sleep.
Okay, so how do you continue this process with teens who have either taken a class from you or that you have coached on an individual basis?
So as children 8 to 13 years old practice the habits of sharing, saving, and spending, we ask them, starting on their 14th birthday, to do a 3-step exercise with their parents. Step 1, take a picture of your room. Step 2, identify which items are cash cows and which items are cash pigs. Then calculate the value of those cash cows and cash pigs. And step 3, answer the following question. At this time, do you have more cash cows than cash pigs? So our goal is to help teens visualize where their money has been going, as well as develop the habit of asking, is this a cash cow or a cash pig, whenever they buy items in the future.
That's excellent. Some in this age group will get jobs and some will even start their own businesses. What important financial management principles should a teen know as they start to earn their own money?
So in addition to buying more cash cows and cash pigs, there are 3 important principles teens need to put into practice. The first principle is identify what is truly a need and what is a want. So the goal is to help teens pause and reflect whether or not the items they plan to buy are truly necessities. The reality is, more often than not, our wants are the cash pigs, which depreciate in value the moment we buy them. Now, the problem with cash pigs is that once you've experienced them, you're going to want more and more. And it can become an addictive cycle to the point that people get into credit card debt in order to buy their cash pigs. So advertisers are aware of this, and they spend billions of dollars every year to influence teens. So it can become challenging to distinguish between a need versus a want. So it's important for teens to pause and reflect on their purchases. Now, the second principle builds on the first one, and this is to pay yourself first. Teens need to remember that it's not how much money you make, it's how much you keep. The best thing a teen can do is set up their bank account to automatically put away 20% of what they earn into a high interest savings account. This way, they are putting in built-in guardrails and learning not to live beyond their means. And last but not least, the third principle is make your savings work for you. Now, it's not enough to just have savings. You also need your savings to work hard for you by investing them into cash cows that can generate passive income. So you don't need to rely on trading time for money as an employee. Now, the sooner you start, the better, because as a teen, you have time to take advantage of something called compound interest.
Oh, interesting. So can you tell us what compound interest is?
Yeah, so compound interest is what Canada's most famous rap artist Drake calls making stacks on stacks, which is basically making interest on interest. And so it is the growth of money based on your original investment, known as your principal, on top of the interest you've already earned in the past. So Albert Einstein is quoted saying, compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. Those who understand it earn it. Those who don't end up paying it in the form of interest on debt.
Okay, can you give us an example of the power of compound interest?
Yeah, my favorite example is the story of Jack and Jill. So Jill decides to start investing $2,000 a year starting at age 19 and stopping at the age of 26. Jack, on the other hand, decides, I'm going to start investing $2,000 a year at age 26 until I'm age 65. Now imagine both make an average return of 12% per year. Who do you think will have more money at age 65, Jack or Jill?
Well, I would think Jack, because he's been investing for a longer period of time, 39 years compared to Jill's 8 years.
Yeah, well, interestingly enough, because of compound interest, the answer is Jill. Jill will have about $2.3 million, but Jack will only have $1.5 million. Now imagine if Jill started even earlier at age 16. So the takeaway for teens is the sooner you start investing, the better, because time is on your side.
Yeah. How can you get a teen to get started in this?
So as a teen, you can talk to your parents about setting up an in-trust for account. So you can start investing in exchange traded funds or ETFs, mutual funds, and stocks. Now, your parents' financial advisor can also help you and your parents through this process. Now, I would recommend you start with a pre-authorized investment of, let's say, $50 a month or 20% of what you earn every month. By doing this, you're taking advantage of dollar cost averaging, which is an investment strategy proven to help you build wealth.
Another great term. What is dollar cost averaging?
Yeah, so dollar cost averaging, also known as DCA, is investing on a regular basis instead of one big lump sum at a time. This is a proven strategy because you cannot predict stock market performance. And the secret to building wealth in the markets is to stay invested over a longer period of time.
Okay, so switching gears, the first time we spoke, you introduced us to the concept of the family office. Can you go over that once again and what services you offer to families raising teens in affluent or high net worth environments?
Yeah, absolutely. So family offices date back to the 6th century when royal families entrusted a team of experts to oversee their wealth as well as train their heirs and beneficiaries so that family fortunes would extend for multiple generations. Now, over the years, ultra affluent North American families have either established their own family office if their net worth is over $150 million, or using the services of a multi-family office if their net worth is above $30 million. Now, they prefer the family office framework in order to have greater control and coordination when it comes to financial, tax, legal, and philanthropic strategies. Now, as for our services, over the past 20 years, Financial Literacy Council has been working with family offices from around the world to develop and deliver tailor-made multi-year financial education programs. And our mandate is to increase the financial readiness of family members, including children and grandchildren, as they take on more and more responsibility as wealth inheritors and wealth creators.
Great. Now, some of our listeners might have clients that this would benefit, but for those with clients that aren't as affluent, can this education still benefit them?
Absolutely. These principles and habits that I've shared throughout this podcast work regardless of a family's net worth because they're built on developing the right mindset and habits for managing money.
That's excellent. So throughout this podcast, we're dedicated to helping advisors build their practice and provide them with as much education and ideas as possible. What's the benefit to an advisor to bring in somebody like yourself to help a family understand financial literacy?
Yeah, so if you are a financial advisor, the benefit is that you will be able to save time and focus on what you do best, which is providing comprehensive financial planning and advice to your clients. Now, by bringing in an expert like myself for your clients with over $30 million in net worth, you are reinforcing that you work with a trusted and experienced specialist who can coach and better prepare the next generation of wealth inheritors as well as wealth creators.
I asked this the last time, but why is it important for children to increase their financial literacy through financial education?
Well, we believe it's important for children to increase their financial knowledge because the money habits that they develop today will either help them or hold them back when they are adults. And I believe that financial literacy levels the playing field in our communities by giving people choices. And it can also address the generational cycle of money mismanagement in some families. Now, these two tie into our passion at the Financial Literacy Council, which I co-founded with Bobby Ning in 1999, of creating a financially literate world of stronger families and communities through financial planning and education, because the two go hand in hand.
Oh, that's excellent information. And do you have any closing thoughts for our listeners today?
Yeah, I have two closing thoughts. The first one is for the teams. Work for assets, not money. It's important to remember that people who are successful with finances do not exchange their time for money. Instead, they work to buy cash cows, which are the assets that generate passive income. So as a team, time is on your side. So use the power of compound interest to build up your cash cows so that one day you can enjoy making money while you sleep and you don't have to rely on trading your time for money. Secondly, for financial advisors, build a bridge with your clients' teenage children by getting to know them and building trust with them early on. This will help you bulletproof your practice by having a continuity plan for your client's wealth. And don't be afraid to collaborate and bring in subject matter experts to strengthen and add value to your client relationships.
Oh, fantastic tips. How can our listeners get a hold of you if they want to continue this conversation?
Yeah, my door is always open. You can connect with me or reach me directly by email at alphil@flci.ca, or feel free to visit our website at flci.ca.
Well, thank you, Alphil, for all of this information today.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you.
And thank you to Customplan Financial Advisors for sponsoring this program. They are an award-winning managing general agency providing fantastic resources to the independent financial advisor. Look at what they offer at customplanfinancial.com. This podcast is now on YouTube and Spotify, as well as financialpodcast.ca. Sign up or subscribe to be notified of every new podcast. If you have an idea for a podcast or know of someone that would make a great guest, please send an email to contact@financialpodcast.ca. We'd love to have your feedback. On this podcast, there are some handy graphs and images that Alphil has provided, so please make sure you take a look at the video. Thank you again, Alphil.
Thank you.
Have a fabulous day, everyone.
The views expressed here are those of the participants and not those of Customplan Financial Advisors, Inc., its affiliates, or subsidiaries. This is not intended to serve as a complete analysis of every material fact regarding any company, industry, or security. This presentation may contain forward-looking statements. Investors are cautioned not to place undue reliance on such statements, as actual results could vary. This site and podcasts are for general information purposes only and does not constitute investment advice and is not intended as an endorsement of any specific investment product or service. Individual investors should consult with an investment professional about their personal situation. Past performance is not indicative of future results. If you are unsure about what is the best course of action for you in your financial planning, then we suggest you consult a fee-based independent financial advisor or get in touch with us to discuss your individual situation. Our phone number is 604-687-7773.